The three key compartments we've chosen to focus on are the retina, systemic, central nervous system. Each of those three compartments require different delivery. By addressing those three compartments, you can get to almost any disease. That was the reason for doing it, and the thesis being that diseases will emerge, or entry points will emerge into more complex disorders. And if you've built the capability, team, platform, clinical know-how, regulatory know-how in those compartments with these modalities, if you sit amongst the first people to see it, you'll beat everybody, because they've still got to build what you've already built. What we wanted to do was address the broad range of diseases that we felt this technology could address, and we came quickly to the view that each therapeutic compartment has unique aspects, both in terms of the sorts of diseases you address and actually in terms of the platform you need to build to address it. And also the domain expertise, so the scientific founder and the team you need to bring around it, and all those pieces you need to do to build a company. So we built therapeutic specific companies. We built an eye company in Nightstar, a systemic gene therapy company in Freeline, more recently a central nervous system gene therapy company in Swan Bio, and used those as our bridgehead companies into each disease compartment, addressing severe diseases where the genetics is clear, which means monogenic recessive disorders to start with, but then building there to the more complex diseases. So there's two key platforms. One is manufacturing, and one is delivery. You need both in order to have a successful gene therapy and take it all the way to all the patients that it's applicable to. Depending which compartment you're in, it's different. If you're in the eye, you care hugely about the delivery aspect because it's a subretinal injection, but actually the quantities you're using is not as large as other settings, and therefore manufacturing is important but not as important. In the haemophilia setting, that is actually still a simple infusion, so the delivery is quite easy, but manufacturing is hugely complex. That technology did not exist, still does not exist widely, and so if you're serious about developing gene therapies and taking them all the way to market, which is the Syncona strategy, you need to do parallel investments, and very large parallel investments into manufacturing, which is completely atypical of how venture capital companies are normally built. And you only do it because you expect to be the owner of those businesses over the very, very long term, and you expect to take those products all the way to market. So it's a little more complex. You'd think we've got all this great stuff, and why don't we make all the great stuff available to all the companies? There is a downside to doing that, and that is the reason that our companies deliver so well is the exquisite focus they have on the programs they have and delivering those for the patients they care about. And so if you mixed it all together, you'll dilute that focus. You need to be a little bit careful. So we like each company to be an autonomous company in charge of its own destiny and focused on its programs. But where we have capability that we know is applicable to all companies, we make sure there is knowledge sharing. So we have introduced all the senior management teams to all the other senior management teams. We obviously sit across all companies and are aware of certain aspects of research, regulatory, manufacturing. And where we know one company's problem has been solved by another company, then we'll make sure they talk about it.
Our companies are talking to each other and learning from each other, as they are domain focused and not competing with each other. That really enables those interactions between them. Sharing of regulatory insights, for example, forming technical partnerships, which then sometimes can lead to formal licensing agreements between them, sharing notes on service providers and consultants is hugely enabling for the companies. Freeline, as you said, had to build their manufacturing capabilities, as that's a key part of systemic gene therapy delivery. As a result, they have very deep manufacturing expertise, and this manufacturing expertise also benefits other companies. For example, they're very good at manufacturing analytics and understanding how to really precisely measure the amount of gene therapy in your manufacturing batch, and that is still all early technology we're developing today.
orbit, we talked a little bit earlier about delivery to the eye being the key platform capability. What the orbit device allows you to do is deliver gene therapy to the back of the eye in a much less invasive way, much more consistently, with much less side effects. So that platform will be the best way to deliver gene therapies. If ultimately the value is in the gene therapies themselves, you want that to accrue to you. So merging the key platform with the therapeutics you care most about, so it all accrues to you, I think is the best thing to do for shareholders. And actually, I think aligning the development of the device with the development of the product means that that is a much more coordinated thing that will move forward faster.
So I think gene therapy is really coming of age. We've seen several approvals in the recent years in the United States and in Europe. And as a result, it's a very competitive space, of course. To really understand the differentiation, one would have to look at the details of each of the companies. But overall, I think we can say that our companies are built around leading science. They're backed by world-class key opinion leaders. They have experienced management teams. As a result, they're able to attract high-profile non-executives to their board as well.